All of you are in my comment section saying that these are not Erika and Charlie Kirk's children.
And I was praying to God that I was pregnant when he got murdered.
Intentionally, when I was pregnant, hid. Not because I was embarrassed. I was growing a human inside of me.
Brand new footage just surfaced, and it shows Erika casually talking about rented babies, and the internet instantly locked in on every word. Now, people aren't staying quiet. They're straight up asking whether the entire story around Erika and Charlie's kids was ever what we thought it was in the first place. Online critics are lining up the timeline like detectives. Erika once shared that she had 2 C-sections and wasn't even sure she wanted more children. That sounded firm, that sounded final. But after Charlie passed, the story seemed to shift. Suddenly, she was saying she always dreamed of having 4 kids with that man. And that sharp pivot has people raising eyebrows in a big way. Then there's the photo timeline, and this is where the conversation really heats up. Followers notice certain pictures posted during the supposed pregnancy windows don't clearly match the dates the children were reportedly born. People online are zooming in, comparing outfits, backgrounds, timestamps, the whole thing. And here's the part fueling most of the debate. In an era where influencers document everything, doctor visits, cravings, nursery builds, even hospital wristbands, there are 0 public pregnancy photos, not one. For someone who shared so much of her life online, that absence is standing out loudly.
Okay, so Erika Kirk posted a video, and in it, she has a photo of her ultrasound. She's kind of showing her pregnancy, and something that stood out to me was in the top corner, it listed her as Erika Franzwey and not Erika Kirk, Franzwey being her maiden name.
Now, to be clear, none of this proves anything. Surrogacy, privacy choices, and personal grief can all play a role in what someone decides to share. But when timelines shift and statements change, the internet starts connecting dots fast. And right now, people have questions, big ones. Not a single one. No bump photos, no hospital selfies, no soft launch maternity shoot, nothing. Erika says she chose to stay private during both pregnancies, and that is absolutely her right. Some celebrities like Blake Lively and Kylie Jenner have kept parts of their pregnancies low-key before, so it's not unheard of. Privacy is real, but here's why people are side-eyeing this situation. Critics argue it feels inconsistent compared to how open Erika has been before and after those exact time periods. She's shared relationships, milestones, emotional moments, even deeply personal struggles online. So the sudden blackout during 2 life-changing events, that shift is what has people talking heavy.
Erika's taking care of Erika's children. She has a 3 and a 4-year-old. I am a single mother. I was divorced when my children were very young. And I know, and I work full time, just like Erika Kirk. So I'm not saying, oh, you can't be a mother and work full time. So don't come in my comments with that bullshit. A lot of us out here work full time and raise kids. There is a shit ton of single moms out in the world and single dads. 2 weeks after Charlie Kirk's assassination, she was already on the road.
Now, this is where the speculation really turns up. If any part of this rented baby rumor were true, and let's be clear, that's still just internet theory, not confirmed fact, it would raise serious questions about what Charlie knew. Because hiding 2 full pregnancies from a spouse, that would be nearly impossible, especially in a marriage that appeared public and active at the time. So either the internet has completely misread the situation, or there are details that simply haven't been shared publicly. And that gray area is exactly why this resurfaced clip is blowing up again. The video making rounds is from 2015. It shows Erika on set filming a random project, and the caption reads, "The perk of playing a young mom TV role." In the clip, she's holding a baby on camera, clearly part of the production, but because of the wording and the timing, people are now replaying it with fresh eyes. Context matters, though. Actors borrow babies on set all the time for realism. That's standard in film and television. Still, when old footage resurfaces during an already heated conversation, the internet connects dots fast, sometimes too fast. And right now, the speculation is louder than ever. At first glance, it could mean absolutely nothing. Actors rent babies on set all the time for scenes. That's standard in film and television. Productions work with licensed agencies that provide infants for short shooting windows, and it's tightly regulated. So that caption could have easily been a light joke about getting paid to hold adorable babies during filming. Simple. But here's where the energy shifts. After everything that surfaced in recent months, that same caption doesn't hit the same way anymore. What once looked harmless now feels loaded to some viewers. Context changes perception, and the internet loves revisiting old clips with fresh eyes.
At the same time, reports out there are saying that the mission that she sent over there was forced out of Romania because places where her ministry was going, children were disappearing.
Now, people online are connecting dots at lightning speed. They're asking whether that hourly baby rentals comment was strictly about acting or if it somehow overlaps with the bigger rumors that didn't even start until years later. Again, that's speculation, not proof. But once a narrative starts moving, it moves fast. And here's what really pushed the conversation into overdrive. Viewers noticed something simple but huge. There are no clear pregnancy photos of Erika anywhere, not one strong public image showing a visible baby bump. In an era where influencers document everything, from coffee runs to doctor visits to nursery shopping sprees, that absence stands out loudly. There is one short clip floating around that supposedly shows Erika getting an ultrasound, but even that video has people zooming in and questioning details, the angles, the timing, the context. Some say it looks authentic, others aren't convinced. And because the internet thrives on side-by-side comparisons, the debate keeps building. Still, it's important to keep it fair. Choosing privacy, using surrogacy, or simply keeping certain life events offline are all valid decisions. But when old captions resurface and timelines don't feel crystal clear, the speculation machine kicks into high gear, and right now, it's running non-stop. In that circulating ultrasound clip, viewers claim the sonogram screen shows the name Erika Franvi instead of Erika Kirk, and that tiny detail sparked a huge debate online. Some people argue it could be a maiden name, a legal name variation, or even a simple production placeholder. Others aren't buying it that easily. On top of that, critics say sonogram screens usually display the patient's full legal name along with a date of birth underneath. In the version floating around social media, that date of birth isn't clearly visible. Now, that doesn't automatically mean anything is wrong. Different clinics use different software systems. Some screens crop information depending on how the video is recorded. But once the internet zooms in, every pixel becomes evidence in somebody's theory. Then there's the formatting conversation. Many medical systems list names last name first, then first name. In this clip, viewers say it appears in a different order. Again, that could come down to software settings, regional differences, or even editing quality. Maybe it's completely normal, but when online detectives start stacking that detail on top of everything else they've questioned, it starts to feel bigger to them. Separately, each of these details might be minor. Together, they've fueled non-stop speculation. That's why the internet keeps digging, frame by frame. Now let's talk about Erika's explanation for the missing pregnancy photos. She says she stayed out of the public eye during both pregnancies for privacy reasons. That's her statement, clear and direct. And privacy during pregnancy is completely valid. Many public figures choose to step back during sensitive times. But critics argue the timeline doesn't fully support a total disappearance. They say she was still seen at events, still posting content, still active in certain spaces. So they're asking, if she was visible publicly, why no visible bump photos at all? Those are the questions circulating right now, and that's why this conversation refuses to slow down. If the goal was total privacy, like completely off the grid, then why later post a used pregnancy test, hospital room pictures, and newborn photos? That's the part people keep circling back to. Online voices are saying you can't label it full privacy while still sharing selective pieces that help shape how the story looks to the public. The argument critics are making is simple. Either you step away completely, or you carefully curate what people see, and there's a big difference between those two. Choosing not to post bump photos is one thing, but later sharing intimate hospital moments, that feels intentional to some observers. It creates a narrative, just on your terms. Then there's Erika's public history. She's moved in modeling circles, reality TV spaces, and media platforms before. That's documented. She's not someone who built a reputation on being ultra low-key. So critics are asking, when exactly did the sudden shift toward complete privacy begin? Because historically, she hasn't avoided cameras or public attention.
Years later, she's allegedly recognized by an eyewitness at Fort Huachuca just 2 days before her husband's assassination. Husband who began to voice his opinions about Epstein very loudly and frankly.
And the conversation doesn't stop there. Some online commentators are also looking at her behavior after Charlie's reported situation and saying the pattern feels inconsistent with someone who suddenly values total silence. She openly shared emotional footage during an incredibly painful time. She allowed memorial-related merchandise to be circulated publicly. Those are visible, documented choices. Now, to be clear, grieving people handle loss differently. There is no single right way to mourn. Some choose to go quiet. Others share their pain publicly as part of healing. That alone proves nothing. But when critics line up all these moments side by side, the missing pregnancy visuals, the selective sharing, the past media presence, they say the messaging doesn't feel fully aligned. And that tension between privacy and publicity, that's what keeps this debate alive and loud. There were even reports of a replica-style setup connected to the memorial event, where attendees could take photos. Supporters say it was a heartfelt tribute meant to honor his legacy and give fans a space to remember him properly. From that angle, it looks like remembrance and respect. But critics see it differently. They argue the entire event felt highly public, highly visible, and carefully organized, not private, not low-key. So now the question being asked online is simple. If someone is comfortable being that visible during emotionally intense public moments, how likely is it that they completely disappeared for 9 straight months, twice, without one candid photo surfacing anywhere? That's the debate catching serious heat right now. Things escalated even more after Candace Owens publicly mentioned that an eyewitness allegedly spotted Erika at Fort Huachuca, a U.S. Army installation in Arizona. That detail shifted the conversation instantly, because now people weren't just debating timelines, they were debating locations. 2 days before Charlie's reported situation, another twist hit the timeline. A spokesperson, Andrew Colt, released a photo that he claimed proved Erika was home with her children on September 8th. The image was clearly meant to shut down speculation fast and reinforce a specific narrative. But instead of calming things down, it had the opposite effect. People immediately began analyzing everything in that photo: the lighting, the background, timestamps, reflections, even wall decor. Social media detectives zoomed in heavy. Some said the image supported the official explanation. Others questioned whether it truly confirmed the timeline the way it was intended to. To be fair, photos can be misinterpreted easily, especially viewed without full context. A single image rarely tells a complete story, but when a situation is already under scrutiny, every new piece of evidence gets dissected frame by frame. And right now, every detail, no matter how small, is being pulled into the spotlight. Online critics wasted no time zooming in on the little boy in that September photo. Screenshots started circulating fast. Many commenters claimed he appeared closer to 3 or 4 years old, not a toddler under 2. And that's where the timeline clash really took off.
Erika, as a 17-year-old girl, goes to Romania to help orphans, somehow finds herself in the middle of a horrific scandal involving those.
Based on the publicly shared dates, Charlie's son was reportedly born in May 2024. That would place him at around 16 months old in that September image. Critics are arguing that developmentally, a 16-month-old typically has certain physical traits: shorter stature, rounder baby features, less height. Of course, every child grows at their own pace. Some toddlers are tall, some develop faster. Pediatric growth charts show wide ranges of normal. But the visual difference people claim to see is what sparked another intense wave of debate. Side-by-side comparisons started trending. comment sections filled up, and once again, the internet turned into a courtroom of opinions. Then, viewers pointed out something else. In interviews, Erika often speaks warmly about her daughter, sharing stories, personality traits, little moments. But when it comes to her son, his name and personal details don't come up as frequently in public clips. Supporters say that means absolutely nothing. Every parent chooses what to share. Some protect one child's privacy more than another. That's not unusual. Critics, though, say the difference feels noticeable. Not proof, just noticeable. And in online culture, noticeable becomes discussable real quick. Now, here's another layer. When Charlie was still alive, Erika openly stated she had C-sections for both children. She shared that those surgeries made her unsure about having more kids. And that's completely valid. C-sections are major abdominal surgeries with real recovery time. According to medical experts, repeat C-sections can increase physical strain and require careful planning. That hesitation is medically understandable. What caught attention online wasn't the surgery itself. It was how she framed her uncertainty at the time compared to later statements about always wanting a bigger family. Critics say the tone shift feels sharp. Supporters say people's desires evolve over time, especially after loss. That's not uncommon.
Stories and details. But when it comes to her son, his name and stories rarely come up publicly. Supporters claim that means nothing.
Right now, the debate isn't slowing down. It's stacking layer by layer, detail by detail. At one point, Erika reportedly mentioned that during her C-sections, she was worried that Charlie would see her organs during surgery. That specific detail caught people off guard. Online critics quickly compared that explanation to how most women publicly describe C-sections, usually focusing on healing time, pain management, scars, or physical recovery. That's the typical conversation you hear. Supporters stepped in fast, saying everyone processes surgery differently. Some people focus on the medical side, others fixate on emotional or personal fears in the moment. That's human. But critics argue that the way she framed it sounded unusual given the circumstances, especially since C-sections are common procedures performed behind surgical drapes where partners typically don't see graphic details anyway. And then, as happens online, the conversation took a sharp turn into extreme conspiracy territory. A few fringe voices even pushed wild claims, saying things like, "You are actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me, and you were Charlie's handler, and Israel killed Charlie." Those allegations have zero verified evidence and fall squarely into speculative conspiracy talk. There is no public proof supporting those accusations. Still, once those kinds of statements enter the chat, they spread fast. Now people are stacking everything side by side. The timeline questions, the alibi photo, the ultrasound clip, and those past surgery comments. When the internet starts lining up dates, images, and quotes like puzzle pieces, the questions don't slow down, they multiply. And here's where the story shifts again.
Some people say, "You were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me, and you were Charlie's handler, and Israel killed Charlie."
Fast forward to now, and Erika is saying she and Charlie always wanted 4 children. That earlier hesitation, the uncertainty she expressed about expanding the family after multiple C-sections, seems to have faded from the current narrative. Online voices are highlighting that contrast loudly. Before, the message sounded like caution, concern, physical limits. Now, the message feels like long-term family dreams that were always in place. Supporters say grief can reshape perspective. After losing someone, people often reframe memories in a more hopeful or sentimental light. That's not uncommon at all. Critics, however, say the shift feels abrupt. Not impossible, just abrupt. And when tone changes that sharply, the internet starts replaying old clips, comparing wording, analyzing delivery. Right now, it's not one single detail driving the conversation. It's the accumulation of details, stacked tightly, examined closely, and debated loudly. Now the story is being framed like a big household was always the dream, like 4 kids was the long-term vision from day one. Supporters say that's normal. People evolve, desires shift. After loss, especially, priorities can feel clearer and more intense. That happens all the time. Critics, though, are saying the storyline feels revised, not necessarily false, but polished differently than before. And once that perception sets in, every new interview gets replayed with fresh ears. Since Charlie passed, Erika has leaned heavily into motherhood as her highest calling. She speaks passionately about family. She encourages young women to not delay having children. She promotes strong family-first values in interviews and public appearances. That messaging is clear and consistent. But here's the emotional angle critics keep circling back to. If motherhood is truly the most important role in her life, then wouldn't that mean stepping away from the spotlight, especially after her children experienced such a traumatic loss? That's the question floating around
online. What do you miss most? How are his parents doing? Because his parents are private. We saw them for the first time at the funeral.
Yes.
You did such a beautiful job there. How are all of y'all doing? You talk a little bit about the kids, but how's your mom doing? I mean, I know she's devastated for you.
My mom is Charlie and my mom. Well, Charlie's family's there. Everyone's hanging in there. We're doing the best to be expected. My mom and Charlie, they were best friends. I would always say that Charlie was her favorite child. Oh. But the thing that was so special about our Sabbath dinners was that it wasn't about religious protocol.
Supporters push back hard on that idea. They argue that grief looks different for everyone. Some people stay busy to cope. Some throw themselves into work. Others speak publicly as part of healing. There's no universal rule book for how a widow or parent should move, and that's a fair point. Critics, however, say the public messaging doesn't always align with the expectations she promotes. When someone strongly advocates for traditional, family-centered living, people expect to see that reflected in visible lifestyle choices. Whether that expectation is fair or not, it exists. That disconnect between earlier interviews, the evolving narrative, and the current image is exactly why this discussion keeps gaining traction. It's less about one moment and more about perceived inconsistencies stacking up. And then there's another layer people keep pointing out. Erika is rarely seen publicly with her children. Supporters say that proves nothing. Many public figures intentionally shield their kids from cameras. Protecting minors from constant exposure is responsible in today's media climate. That's valid. But critics are raising a practical question, not an accusation, just a question. With frequent travel, interviews, speaking engagements, and photo appearances across different states, how much time is realistically spent at home? Again, that's speculation from observers looking at public schedules, not confirmed insight into her private life. At the end of the day, perception drives conversation, and right now, perception is what's fueling this entire debate, layer by layer, appearance by appearance. Right after Charlie passed, Erika was named CEO of Turning Point USA. There wasn't a long public pause, no extended step-back period. It was straight into leadership mode. Press appearances, conferences, strategy sessions, panels, full throttle movement. Since then, she's embraced that strong girl boss energy publicly, commanding stages, speaking nationwide, building influence. It's visible, it's documented, it's consistent. At the same time, she's been vocal about encouraging young women to prioritize family life and not delay motherhood for career ambition. That's where critics say the contradiction feels sharp, because before she ever met Charlie, Erika had already launched businesses, pursued higher education, and built professional momentum. She didn't marry or have children until her 30s. That's part of her public timeline. So critics are pointing at that history and asking, does her own life path fully align with the message she now pushes so passionately? Supporters respond quickly. People grow. Beliefs evolve. Life experiences, especially loss, can reshape priorities overnight. That's real. Critics, however, argue the messaging feels selective. They say one version gets amplified loudly on stage, faith, sacrifice, stepping back for family. Meanwhile, another version plays out in real time, executive power, national visibility, expanding influence. And when those two images sit side by side, the contrast becomes conversation fuel. The deeper online users dig into past interviews, archived clips, photos, and timestamps, the more divided opinions become. Some see strength and resilience, others see narrative management. And then there's the biggest theory floating around in certain corners of the internet. Was this entire public storyline carefully constructed from the beginning, including the marriage itself? That theory remains unproven speculation. There's no verified evidence confirming that claim, but once that kind of question enters the chat, it spreads fast. What's undeniable is this: the conversation isn't slowing down. Every new appearance, every speech, every resurfaced clip adds another layer. Supporters see a woman balancing grief, leadership, and motherhood in her own way. Critics see inconsistencies that don't sit right with them. Now, the spotlight is brighter than ever, and opinions are louder than ever. If you made it this far, drop your thoughts below. Do you think this is all coincidence, personal evolution, and internet overanalysis? Or do you believe there's more happening behind the scenes? Like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.